It's morning time. This video is going to be about dealing with highly negative people and unconsciously taking on highly negative energy and how to prevent that and redirect your attention to something that's going to make you feel better, or act better. So highly negative energy is really contagious. So it's the way that it works is really interesting because it works like a mind virus, kind of. So it starts off by only taking a small bit of your consciousness, and then it kind of continues to take more and more and more until it's enveloping your entire field of vision. And by vision, I mean mental vision. It's a very slippery slope when it comes down to negative thinking, and especially when you're unconsciously taking on vibes from highly negative people. That could be even more, because highly negative people carry this energy where they believe that anything that happens to them is not good. And as soon as you start interacting with that and you start exchanging your energy with that, then their karma starts kind of slipping into your karma. So then you start to experience some of the states of being that they're experiencing, and you start to experience some of the thought patterns that they're experiencing. And next thing you know, you're literally like in this kind of spiral of negativity that is almost just as bad as that other person, just because you've been paying attention to them. This is something that needs to be addressed and fixed before it gets too much. And noticed before it becomes something that is unnoticed, or it's like unable to not be noticed. So if you look around you, there's beauty everywhere in the world, but when you get stuck on one specific thing, that beauty seems to kind of just disappear. It's not because it's not there, but it's because your field of vision, or your vision in general, has shifted to looking at whatever you feel is ugly. And that takes just as much attention as the beautiful things do. And it's just as valid as the beautiful things are as well. But it also comes with its own kind of energy. And that energy is kind of stuck in a collective thought bubble that brings a lot of, I guess, just negative events and things like this. So what I've been noticing recently is that you don't want to reduce your trust in people, but I would say to trust the universe more than you trust anything else. So highly negative people are going to start to bring out these different things that they feel are not serving them in the way that they want things to serve them. And then through that, literally just the energy of that, like, it's really hard to explain the way that this stuff is transferred, because it's so contagious. You could literally have a thought form linked to another person through the smallest of things, and that could actually feed you a line of their negativity, because literally somebody could hold such a negative vibration that when you come around them, you actually you get drained of your energy very quickly. And these are energy vampires, but at the same time, there's ways that you can go about kind of keeping yourself from experiencing, I guess, the energy draining parts more than you need to. And the trick is to, first of all, notice the source of where your energy is coming from, and two is to become aware of your your state of being, and basically like every 5 or 10 minutes you just go back to yourself and you reassess your state of being. And if you're noticing a lot of kind of feelings that are bad or negative, then those also come along with the reassessment as well. So you start to say you wake up and you're in a good mood, and then you're like, okay, I note now that I'm in a good mood. And 5 minutes goes by and then something happens, and you then feel as though you're not in as good of a mood, and you note that. So once you start to see that and you actually like note it down every time in your mind mentally, then you have the opportunity to go back to each one of these different things and revise it and find the thing in it that you would rather focus on that would bring you more pleasure or joy in that moment. So you can actually like use the present moment to go into a past moment and revise it, and then come back into the present moment and see from the perspective that you would have seen with that revised point of view. And like, this is one of the ways that you can go about kind of transferring this negative energy to positive energy. And when it comes down to people in general, or like when you're taking energy from people or you're dealing with another person, you look back energetically of where that energetic kind of connection started with that person, and then you revise that as well. And there's many different ways that you can do this. You can literally decide to go back in your mind and then act as if you had not had that interaction with that person, or you could act as if the interaction went differently, or you could just completely disregard that interaction and act as if it was just a part of the ether, or you can decide to kind of use that energy that you received from that interaction as a self-growth, and you look into yourself and you look and you see what part of yourself was triggered through this interaction, and then you ask yourself, what part of me can be forgiven and what part of me is hurting because of this? What needs to be addressed here? What part of me is in pain now because of whatever has happened externally, and what can I do to revise that pain in myself and allow myself to feel love in the moment now? So say you had somebody do something to you or had something happen, you go back in your mind and you're like, okay, I forgive this person for whatever they did, first of all, or I forgive myself for whatever I did. And then you go back even further and you're like, okay, where did this kind of negative ball start with this? And then you go back there and then you revise that in your head, and you either show compassion, which is basically understanding that this person is, first of all, human, and they have the right to make mistakes. And then two is, once you see through the eyes of all-seeing compassion, you see that like there's these people. I mean, it says it in the Bible, really. It says like they know not what they do. Like, you literally you can't blame these people because they're completely unconscious of their actions when it comes to their heart. Meaning, like, their heart, they're asleep. They're completely asleep. So it's like trying to blame somebody for sleepwalking. Like, they didn't know what they were doing in the first place. I know that can be really hard to accept sometimes because some of the things that people do they seem really, really bad. But in the grand scheme of things, when it comes down to not just this physical incarnation, but the entirety of existence, none of that stuff really kind of makes any difference. In the grand scheme of things, all of this is just kind of a blink of an eye, and it's all happening really, really quickly. You can get glimpses of that too in this lifetime, but it's just kind of understanding that all of these triggers inside of you are things inside of you that you can look into yourself, and you can see where you're lacking love in yourself by where you feel the lack of love externally. And you can look in yourself and you can feel where you have the lack of love in yourself, where you see negativity being reflected to you somewhere else. You look in, say, if it's another person, you look in that other person and you see the parts of yourself that you see in yourself in that other person, and you practice forgiveness by understanding this other person is just as valid of a incarnational person or process as I am, and their mistakes are just as valid as mine. And it's not like I haven't made mistakes like that in my past, and it's not like I haven't, been like that before too. So that's one way to do it with a person. With yourself, you really have to go back into your past and then understand that whatever happened or you did, literally that was the best decision that you could have made at the level of consciousness that you were at. And there's no other way to put it, is that is literally, because it's the decision that you made at that time, it's the best decision that you could have made with the level of consciousness that you had at that time. And that's like one of the ultimate ways to forgive yourself, because there's no way to argue that. It's like you either grow from it and you learn from it and you use it for your growth, or you use it for your destruction and you allow it to break you down and destroy you until you have reached a pile of rubble to the point where you're able to rebuild a new structure, you see? So it's either breaking down everything completely to where there's nothing left, or it's breaking down the things that we're going to break down anyways and seeing the flaws in that and then revising it and kind of bringing yourself into a space where you can actually start to gain lessons from the negative experiences that you have, because all these negative experiences are just catalysts for your growth. So no matter if it's another person or if it's another place or if it's you or if it's a thing or any of that, like, it doesn't matter what it is, it's all catalysts for your growth, and it's all there for your enjoyment, but also for your just for your spiritual evolution. So I hope this has helped a little bit, and I know that it's a little bit different of a vibe, but sometimes we wake up in the morning, you just got to make a video in order to bring yourself back to center. So this is that. Not everybody's perfect, Have a good day.